No, muchachos, todo bien. En este caso vamos a tener otro invitado al podcast. Lo pausamos, pero volvemos con la calidad de invitados. En este caso vamos a tener un invitado el cual pasó más de $100.000 en comisiones, ¿sí? Un amigo de la casa, en este caso eh, Yash, una persona que está hace un montón de tiempo respecto a las ventas y más importante ha logrado conseguir muchas cosas en poco tiempo, ¿sí? Referente en Estados Unidos compitiendo en los más altos niveles. Entonces, como siempre, los número uno, no menos que eso. Así que vamos a introducir, en este caso, a Yash. Y se va a poder introducir él. Y in English, otherwise,
Eh,
for you.
Sounded really good though. Sounded like a great intro.
Yes. For the people that doesn't know you, don't know you here in Latin America, that live under a bridge, but they don't know you, how would you like to present yourself?
My name is Yash, and I'm somebody that has spent the past 6 years obsessing about one thing and one thing only, and that's been sales and revenue and how to become the best communicator I could and sell the most. And because of that, I've been able to make $1 million in commissions, manage a large company that was doing 45 mil at its, up.
Mm.
And I did that for about a year. So pretty much all I obsess on is like sales, revenue, things of that nature.
Okay. I love it. This podcast, we always start with a single question in order to create the everything else. And well, this talk that we are having
Yeah.
is like, what's your unique definition of the word sales?
To me, sales is the ability. So I've got two answers. Sales to me is just change.
Mhm.
And I've learned that from my first mentor,
Yes.
me, and I loved it. It was the simplest way you could make anything, which is sales is just the ability to get somebody to change, ideally in a positive way. It can be done negatively, but ideally in a positive.
Everything.
So for me, sales is about change, but at a deeper level, sales to me is about transforming somebody's identity to do something they know they need to.
Okay.
I think it's change, but I think it's also transforming somebody's identity that causes them to take an action they know they need to take. That's how I look at it.
Okay. And that's the thing that I used to see a lot of salespeople do in the sales space is like listening more to the prospects of the thing that they are saying, not the thing they are communicating that they want. So if we have a lead or a person in front of the computer that has, I think, low level of consciousness, how can that person know what they really need instead of how they want? And what was your approach in order to look what the people are communicating instead of what they are saying?
Yeah, I think the first thing is it's what questions you ask. So the most important thing you can do in a sales call, and you know this very much as well, is
Mm.
what questions you ask and how you ask them. If you ask bad questions, you're not going to get somebody to really open up or lower their guard. But when you
No.
ask good questions and you get them to really open up, forget about them wanting to work with you. There's a different level of depth they have to the problem that they're going through. So I think the
Mm.
first thing is it comes down to the questions you ask. If you ask the right questions in the right tone, you'll fundamentally make a lot more sales compared to if you don't. But the second step is you got to focus on what people mean, not just what they say. So probing and clarifying and asking sort of the right sales questions to really build a gap, I think is very important. But
Mm.
then really getting somebody to create a gap that feels personal to them, that causes them to need to make a change, not just want to, it changes everything. And I would say the best way to identify if you're doing a good job of that or not is if a prospect comes into a call with language,
Mm.
which we all have, right? I want to do something, I need to do something, yada, yada. Can you change those languaging patterns by the end of the call? So if somebody comes into the call saying, I want to do it, and they left being like, I need to do something, you've
Mm.
done something clearly right to change the languaging. So I think the key for a salesperson is can you change the languaging between what people say at the beginning of the call via stat? And if the answer is yes, then great. If
Okay.
the answer is no, then that's what you have to be able
Mm.
to do.
Yes, and you also, I think you've seen it in every aspiring to be a salesperson or every person you train. But did you notice that the people that didn't grow up internally didn't have the ability to listen to what the prospects mean instead of what they say? Because they didn't go through that transformation
themselves?
level of consciousness. Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. I think like sales is very much a mirror sport. Like the better human being I've become, the better at sales I've
Yeah.
gotten. And that's something I can't put like a direct ROI. I can't say like this is why it happened, but the better human being I've become, like the better consciousness, the kinder I've become, the better I've understood people. One of the biggest lessons I learned from Jeremy, just referencing the story was, this is back when I was probably making 60, 70 grand a month in commission. I was making a lot of money. And I remember I got into a big fight with our CEO, right? Like we were like straight up like swearing match. Like I didn't give a fuck.
No.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like, I knew the CEO back when he was a sales guy, right? And I remember like Jeremy said something to me which was really cool, which said, is it about winning the war or winning the battle? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, like a war, once a war is ended, a battle can continue. I can have small battles. He's like, but when you win a war, you end everything. And he was like, so do you want to win a war? You want to win a battle? And he was like, in a sales call, are you trying to win a war, win a battle? I'm like, I'm trying to win a battle. That battle is only lasting maybe 30 minutes or an hour, but that's all it is. And so I think in sales, man, it's very similar where it's like the better you become. That's why I think it's so cool. I think it's probably the best job in the world. The better you become, the better money you make. And not just in terms of your skill, right? There's a heart surgeon that the better he becomes at a heart surgery, he's more efficient and he might get a raise, but it doesn't necessarily makes him a better human being in terms of his juju and his karma. But does it make him feel better? Maybe, I don't know. But the good thing about sales is it is your ability to become a better person that causes you to make more money, feel better, and do better, and ultimately change your life. The heart surgeon, his heart doesn't become stronger because he does 10 surgeries. When I sell 10 people and I get past those limiting beliefs, I overcome those objections, and I live by that, I become a better person.
Okay, yes, and that's what we talk about the mirror law. You cannot change another man, another woman, something that you didn't change in yourself.
Yeah.
And what was your yes, and knowing that, bring us back to the beginning, to your beginnings. That's I think I resonated a lot with you. That like that. How can I say it? Having Napoleon here is like their conquer mentality, going for everything, going for all with focus and repetition. What were your beginnings look like?
Yeah, a very humble beginning. So I started in sales when I was maybe 9 or 10. Like I was looking into it. I kind of checked it out. I was exploring, right? And then I got into high ticket as an example about 13, 14, right? And I think
14.
Yeah, 13, 14. So that was back when like Traffic and Funnels owned the space, right? So that was like the first big company I would say in high ticket that really popped off. And so I knew I wanted to be the best at anything I did, right? That was my rule. Anything I do, I'm going to be the best to the best of my ability if I know I can. And this is one thing I think I've appreciated about working with you as well. It's just your ability to take actions, fucking get after it, right? And some people have that, some people don't. So I knew from the beginning that I was going to make $1 million in commissions. Like I fundamentally knew it because nobody else did it. And I think what makes the journey worthwhile, whatever amount of money you make, is like the person you become by the end of it. The money usually in itself, it'll feel good for a little bit, but it dies off. But bigger numbers are meant to be hit because of who you become and where you get to in that process, not just money itself. And so I think what was really cool, man, was I started at 13 to 14 and I worked, right? So like I have, 6 years of full-time selling nonstop, right? But in reality, if you map that out in a typical day, because I was 10 hours a day, I probably have like 10 years, right? Just with the volume I did. Because I did 7 days a week, 15 hours a day, 15 sales calls a day, just nonstop, never took a break. Christmas, we were working.
What was the first thing you sold?
First thing was fitness gym memberships to Australian moms. So those were like $100 a week packages, $50 a week packages. So like I sold like many different types of offers with many different types of avatars. So I started understanding people better. I understood marketing better. That's where a lot of my knowledge came from, was being on, I would say, shit offers, really figuring it out and being like, okay, how do I actually make money here? So like For a long time in my career, for the first 2 years, I didn't make good money. I was making maybe 5 to 15 grand. And that was 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was like with that level of repetition. Then as I started getting better over time, then the gradual increase came to 20, then 30, then to 50, and then, we hit 80. That was the gradual increase.
Okay. And in that journey, because I did start selling to fitness to moms also. And that's the more B2C, people, the more B2C leads you will encounter.
Yeah.
In every market. How that you start working towards having better offers in order to sell? Because you started with fitness for moms. I started for
I think
20K offer.
I think this is what's important. It's like the better you get, magically those opportunities open up that you're ready for.
Yes.
That's like, call it karma, call it God, whatever you believe in. When you get better, magically the opportunities that you always wanted are there. I do believe that everything happens.
Okay.
Right? I believe in that. And I believe that the better I've got, the more work I've put in, opportunities just present themselves, where if it's God or a higher power, but it's like, fuck, man, I didn't know how that was going to happen. And I think that's where you have to have faith. Whether it's yourself, something deeper, God, a higher power, you got to have some form of faith that if I do what I need to do, man, I'll find a way to get there. But I think what most people don't do is the first step. So like, I would hours, dude, but I just don't want to make 300 calls a day. I would, get to 10 grand a month. I just don't want to hire a coach. So most people don't take the first step because there's lack of faith. If you just take the first step, everything else will figure itself out. Like I didn't, and I share this, like me at 100K a month, right? My goal. That was my purpose in life. From age 15 to 19 was I had to make 100K a month. That was my identity. There is not a single person who thought that was possible because I was making 9% commission for the first 2 years. 9% commission, $1 million, and I had to be 1.1 million cash collected to make 100. Like it was absurd. But there's just this obsession you have of like, it's going to work out. I'll find a way. And the only thing you can do as a salesperson is get better. And I think the industry today as a whole, like for people that want to get to 20 or 30, whatever that number is, people that say it's dead, there's no way to do it. It's like, no, it's not that there's no way. There's just fucking 1% of people that make that type of money in sales. Most people want to do it in a short time frame, and they want to do it relatively with less resistance. So you got to pick your decision. You're either going to have to work a shit ton, which means you'll make more, and you'll have to get a better skill set quicker than everybody else does to make that amount of money. Those are both two requirements. That's it.
Yes, I think Hormozy told it.
Yeah.
He nailed it when he said, you don't have a clue the amount of volume you need in order to get the goal, to achieve the goal. So the amount of volume of sales.
I'll give you one example, and I think you'll like this. Hormozy did what, 150 million in his recent launch, right?
Yeah, in May.
In May. Okay, so May. In this launch, he's been preparing for a whole year. How many other companies have the same social media following, the same following like Hormozy? Tons. There's tons of business coaches and leaders that have the same following Hormozy, if not bigger, that run the same size of business. So how did Hormozy clear 100 million in a single fucking day? There was 7 months of preparation of wanting to push themselves further. So while Hormozy this year, God knows what he'll do in revenue, every other company that was at the same level as he was at a year ago, he's now surpassed. But it's because of the daily consistency of pushing that bar, pushing that level where it's like, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to find a way. And I think most people, the delayed gratification concept is something people don't understand. That's why it's so easy to beat people. Beating people is easy because if you work hard enough, long enough, you'll get there. And even for like, I use your audience as an example. Like a lot of people have been like in Latin America, train a few of them as well that are looking to get into sales. The one thing I appreciate about that culture is they're not based on instant gratification. There's a lot of fear, right? I've noticed when I speak to people in the Latin America kind of community, but there's not an instant gratification. They understand it takes time. But if you really want something and you work with the right person, it's impossible not to get there.
No, yes, and connecting it with that, why do you think there's a massive gap in order to closers on Latam that aspire to do 10K. That's what we are working on. And US salespeople that make 20, 30, 40.
Two things. Number one is I
months.
don't think there's really a mentor. This is just my opinion. I don't think there's somebody in Latin America that's done it.
You
Right?
told
Like
me
I
that.
think US. That's why the reason I like your story, the reason I took you on, the reason I was like, this guy has potential is because you're good at content. But more than that, dude, nobody has done it in Latin America. Nobody is like the voice of reason that's like, dude, I've done it. Like somebody, right? Like what I tell people about me is like, if I can do it, so can you. Because I started at this very young. I worked very hard. My proof in terms of how much I've made is all online, but it took work. This was not an overnight process. Latin America, it's like there are other issues, right? There's an accent issue, there's getting on an offer issue, there's these other issues. And that's what I think, like, I remember after our first call when you and I went over the product and you started building it out into less than a day to put it together, and it was really good that like you're going to be successful, right? Obviously, we keep working together, but it's because I think people in that industry, they don't have somebody that's actually done it the way that it needs to be done. And I think that's why what you're doing is cool because you've done it, right? I think that's the pathway most people need. First step is you got to model somebody. Many people don't know how to model off people, right? And that's the issue. The greats, Steve Jobs of the world, they don't model, they innovate. Innovation is a different skill. You can become a millionaire by just modeling. You can become a millionaire by just modeling. Billionaire, right? I think Mark Cuban says it. It's like, it's just, you have to be a little bit lucky and you got to innovate a bit. So like for the Latin American market, what I've seen is they usually don't have somebody to model off of because I have clients that come to me from Latin America that just speak pure Spanish, right? So I can't train them because I don't speak fluent Spanish. So I think having somebody like you or just somebody they can model where they can learn how to speak Spanish, but also English. They can learn both. Because believe it or not, if you have an accent in America, you actually do better in sales because you're more believable. So this is something most people don't understand, like especially
here I have the other belief that is worse.
No, it's crazy. If you have an accent and you have an accent, especially a Mexican accent, you will make more money in sales in America, guaranteed. I have no doubt. If you have an Indian accent, you're fucked, right? That nobody likes. But if you actually have a Latin accent, a European accent, a British accent, so it goes British, Latin, and European. But if you have Latin accent and people can understand you, if they can't understand you, that's where, I've got a few clients in Latin America. I always tell them, like, slow down because you automatically talk quicker. But if you have a good sales ability in Latin America, there's no way you sell on a US based offer and make God knows how much money.
No, man. And plus that, the connections.
Yeah.
No one here they are here in this tiny portion of the world doing like what? K a month, 2K a month, 3K a month.
So I think what you're doing is so cool, man, because it's just giving people hope. It's kind of how I started Impact, right? Like my company right now is called Impact Team, right? We've scaled to being, the biggest WAP, group on WAP with over 35,000 salespeople we've trained in the past 4 months. But like all of that came with one goal initially, right? It's expanded and much bigger than that. But I would say initially the goal genuinely was to like, how do we provide more value to people for free or cheap than anybody else's? How do we give people a path, right? And we have people in over 120 countries, right? In the WAP group, like we have God knows how many people. And it's like, I think most people just need a path.
Yes.
True path, not a path, a true path that gets them there. And I think that's where also selling becomes fun because you can tell people the fucking truth.
Obviously. And talking about the path, in order to know what the path was, you must have done it. You have done it, the path, and walked through the path and everything. And when you don't have a coach, you don't know what the path is. You're doing a lot of things and here and there and changing the script and don't having the same script like 2 calls in a row and everything.
You just don't know how to get better. There's 3 rules I have to like learning anything, especially sales. Number 1 is you got to model. And the thing is, you got to find somebody great, not good. The issue is most people want to work with people that are good because 1, it's cheaper, 2, it's cool. But if you work with somebody that's great, you'll get great results.
Yes.
My first rule is if I want to learn anything, I learn from somebody great, not good. Great people cost more money, but great people get me great results. So the first step is you got to learn from somebody. The second step is you got to execute. which means high amounts of volume. That's one thing about you, I would say, even as a client I've loved, is like one thing and it's done. And like,
Yes.
you know, you're like, I don't need a one-on-one. That's so cool. So I think for most people, it's like you model somebody, but then you got to fucking execute. And execution is just massive action. And don't worry about if it's good or if it's bad, because then you just go over it with your coach, you get better. But the third step is then you got to adapt it to make it your own. So you can fucking model somebody all day long, but modeling will make you good, not great. Because what modeling does is when you model somebody, you get good at the fundamentals, you get good at adapting. But then you got to go from good, great, then you got to adapt that and make that even better. And then you got to execute. And the thing about volume, man, is you cannot replace the volume. And so most people's fear of wanting to start in 6 months or 4 months, if you just started now, you'd be halfway through the journey of the volume. That's the truth.
Okay.
That's the fun truth. And so my 3 rules of like anything is that I need to model somebody that's better than me. That's for sure. I need to then execute a shit ton. And then from there, I got to adapt it. And investing into coaching or mentorship is, for most people, the hardest thing to do. But once you do it, you don't stop. As my income went up, like the year I made $1 million, right? I spent $250 in education. Now it's up to like $350, right? And that's across only a select few mentors, right? So I don't spend in 30 different places. I don't believe in, investing in different mentors, but I've got like 6 or 7, but the 6 or 7 I work with, each one is, 70 to 100 grand for the year of consulting. And it's okay though, because when you work with somebody great, it'll always pay you dividends one way or the fucking other.
Yes. And it's funny because everyone that wants to sell doesn't want to buy either. And
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
They ask why I am not selling. And
you're not fucking
buying.
This is a story I'll share. I don't know if I share this with you. So my biggest program I invested in was a Tony Robbins program called Platinum. I built my platform with that model, and it's 85 grand for the year. If you add in all the other, they upsell you different shit that you don't have a choice but to buy it. So it ends up being like 120. But I spent 120 grand, right? Paid it all in cash. I had the money, so I was like, I don't need a payment plan. Can you imagine the conviction the next day selling a 16K product? It's through the roof.
Yes, man.
I just spent 120 grand. You think you're going to think about a 16K decision? Good luck. I remember I used to show people the invoice. Like I would show people that invoice and I would be like, that's why I have the money I have. And so investing in yourself is everything, man. And it shouldn't be difficult. You got to do it. And my thing is, don't invest with anybody, but look at somebody you could model. And if you feel like you can model off them, then you got to learn everything you can from them.
Yes, and that as the first step is funny also because someone wants to solve the problem with the same paradigm that made them have the problem in the first phase. So I want to solve a problem with the same paradigm that made me have the problem.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a different mentality, right? Like people, like I will say this, making more money, even if you're not making much right now, it becomes like a full-time job. Because to make more money, you're constantly pushing the boundary of everything, of your living, of your health, of your education. Like everything only gets harder. The difference, I think, is eventually you get to a certain point where it's like, fuck the money, but I just enjoy this. Like I genuinely enjoy the game, enjoy this feeling. And so I think most people need to get obsessed about who they become when they make a certain amount of money and if becoming that person is important enough. And the 0 to 5, the 0 to 10, that is the hardest journey you're going to take. That is when you were the most desperate. That is when things feel rough. But then from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50 to 80, 80 to 100, then it takes a level of passion to keep you fulfilled. Because at that point, you've met your needs. So most people think if I get to 0 to 10, like that's all I can. It's like, dude, you get to 0 to 10. That's the most fun. That's the motivational videos every day. That's the,
the reels, everything.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like 0 to 10 is where you have the most fun. 10 and above, and there are levels to this, like 10 to 20, you're still working hard. 20 to 30, usually it's a bit of ego. Up to 50, and after that, it really is a game of potential. But I think if most people just have fun while they do it, they'll do a lot more of it. And I think this is actually fun. I don't think sales is hard. Nor do I think sales is not hard, but I think it's a difficult thing to learn because it does take time and a one-on-one approach to it. I think sales training, in my opinion, is fucked in the industry just because, first of all, you have a bunch of trainers that haven't done it, right? I hate people that haven't done what it is they're claiming to do and they want to teach it to you. But the second thing that's worse than that is the fact that all the training is generic these days. All of it. None of it is one-on-one. None of it is personalized. None of it is like all reviews you're doing. None of it is like done correctly. But if you just do that and you execute and you adapt it, you're probably 3-4 months away from hitting the target for most people.
Yes.
And then for other people, it's the inverse. It's like you're probably a year out from hitting your target because you just need to go through the time and the modeling, but they keep pushing off that investment to model off somebody. They keep pushing off the volume necessary to get good. Right? So like when I speak to people and I'll be like, we need to make, let's say $400 a day as an example, they'll invest the money and they'll be like, I have to make $400 a day. I'm like, yeah, it didn't change because you spent the money. The volume doesn't change because the money was. That's the difference. People think they've solved a problem by buying something. You solve a problem and you follow through on something.
Yes. I look at the investments as induced stress, because stress is, I think it's not valued in the meaning of stress is change and change is sales. And people don't want to live stress, but not living stress make them not having the ability to change and obviously getting the same results. No,
I don't think anybody does shit because they're just happy. Like, unfortunately, you got to be stressed, man. You got to have a game. You got to have that competitive nature. There's something in you that's like, I need to win.
Yeah, man. And with the sales space, also with the coaching and the sales coaching space, that's it. So no one is telling as you, me, Andres, and every another person that make everything good, that man, you need to stress. You need to make every minute, every living minute of the day, you have to be making calls. You have to be working.
I have a mentor. His name is Brendan, right? He sold his company for like 130 million. Like, he's fuck you. And one thing he said, which I loved, so incredible. He goes, stress is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. And he's like, if you don't really have pressure, you really don't. And I think the game is like, how do you actually get relevant? How do you actually take the pressure? How do you actually do it? And I've had points in my life where I've settled for complacency. I've plateaued. And for a month, I'll make good money because my skill sets are there. But somewhere in the back of your head, you're like, I don't know whether I did it. I have a sales guy right now that came in person, Sam, and he didn't hit KPI this month. And we go to dinner and he's laughing and he's making jokes. And at the end of it, I pulled him aside and I was like, people will laugh with you. And then they'll eventually forget about you if you don't give them a reason to remember you.
Okay.
And it was an expensive dinner, right? The dinner was quite expensive and whatnot. But I told him, I was like, people will forget about you because nobody cares about being next to a nice guy unless you're gay, right? People want to be next to a guy that actually gets shit done. And so I just told him, I was like, enjoy this dinner, enjoy your time, but don't try to be a nice guy. Try to be the guy that people work with, be the guy that people like. So I have a rule. I never networked my entire career, which is good and bad. It has pros and cons to it, right? But my goal was like, become so valuable that people want to network with you. Become so valuable that people want to speak to you.
Yes.
Don't be a fanboy. Don't be somebody that walks up to somebody asking. Be so good that people are like, I want to get to know this guy. I want to see what he does.
Yes. Yes. Because everyone thinks, what can I get from this transaction? No one thinks, what can I give on this transaction in order to give value to the other person, and connecting that with the stress part that everyone wants to avoid, doesn't want to deal with. Yeah. What were the most stressful situations that you lived in order that made you improve more than everyone else?
Yeah, I would say there were 3 situations in particular I can tell you.
Okay.
Each one its own way, right? There was a time where, you know, I gained like 100 pounds in a year from working, right? So I used to be like, I'm talking like 120 pounds, just skinny. No. You wouldn't even imagine it, right? I looked malnourished, right? That's what they used to call me. One year I gained 100 pounds. And that was because of the hours, and I didn't go to the gym. Like I was, which unproductive and productive. But I always say I'm very happy I got fat, extremely happy, because that level of fucking obsession, that level of commitment, that it's like, motherfucker, I'll get fat to be the best. And sometimes people ask me, would you go back and would you have worked out for the extra hour? I'm like, fuck no. Two reasons. The journey of getting fat and being that obsessed was different. The journey of losing the weight taught me a lot more and made me value my health a lot. And so when I got overweight in a year, it was because of this so-called concept of stress. But I just didn't give a fuck. And that to me was incredible, because that level of obsession where you're so, and again, for better or for worse, but in my opinion, it was for the better because I lost weight the next year. But just that level of obsession where you're like, I'm going to win. I will sacrifice it.
To win.
Most people mentally can't get there. Most people, I would say working hard has become an art today, especially in sales.
Yes. I always tell this that you're not the thing you think to do, you're the thing you do.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Most people, like, I think there's a statistic, most setters only work 3 hours a day on average. Like, most people don't actually work. They feel like they've worked a full-time job.
Yes.
Actually work. And so
they are thinking on the work.
Oh yeah. It's just like, but it's like, you got to make the dials that do. Like, that's how you make money. And so I think like gaining weight, dude, and like being that obsessed, that was an example of stress, but I came out stronger, because by the end of it, yeah, the body wasn't there, but the income was there, and I could fix the body. It was a very short-term sacrifice for 1 year. And then it took a year after that to lose the weight again. But it was second step, I think, was when I had, like, my grandmother passed away, right? I found out at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. in the morning. And that involved stress. And I had a choice that day. I was like, I either reschedule my calls or I take my calls. And the example one of my mentors gave to me is like, there's a bucket with all this shit that stresses you out. It's going to be there at the end of the day anyways. But getting out of the fire, getting out of the freeway, like you're the car on the freeway, you got to fucking drive, pulling over to the side isn't the solution. And he told me, he's like, I wouldn't say this to you if your goal wasn't to make the money you wanted to make. If you wanted to make 20 a month, I would tell you to take time off. If your goal is to make $1 million, bro, people are going to die every fucking year. Are you going to take time off? And that was huge, because I finished off the rest of the day. I was a little bit shocked. I made a shit ton of sales. And what I took away from that is this: and nothing can really fuck me up. The person who died in the morning is also still dead at 9 p.m.
Yes.
So I can think about it then. I don't need to think about it now. So that was the realization of stress, anxiety, depression. It's all an illusion. It's real, but it's an illusion.
It's because it can be the thing that propels you to make more sales, or the thing that stops you from making more sales. The same situation.
You make that decision. Do you want it to push you or stop you? Does stress make you work less or work more? Everybody has a story they play in their head. And I think if your story is motivating and better, you'll find a way to hit those targets. Most people don't. They're 1 year away from hitting everything they ever wanted. 1 year. But in this next year, you got to push.
Okay. Yes. And the third one?
Third experience was when I left Seventh. So like Seventh was a big company, right, that I had obviously built. And I would say the best thing that happened to me when I left was I had like 3 employees quit the company to come work with me. And I had no plan for economics. I had no plan for what I was going to do. Like when I left Seventh, it was difficult in the same point of I'd quit and I didn't know what was next. Like there was no plan. Right? And then I've got fucking 3 employees, 3 people that want to work with me day one that have quit their jobs to do it. And I'm like, fuck, man, like I got to figure something out here. Not only for me, but for them. Because at that point in my life, I had enough money to retire. And that was a thought of like, why not just, move on? But I was like, there has to be something more. This can't be the end. And so that was like a moment of stress, because I didn't know what I was going to do. And I took a week, went to Europe like I thought. And then from that stress came, do something about it. Do something better. Build something bigger. Build something even more powerful. And then that's where the impact team, came into power. Impact team wasn't built on a calm, cool, collected dinner meeting with a whiteboard, building a plan. Eventually we had those. Impact team started with a vision and a mission of like, I'm going to take this experience I've had, good and bad, I'm going to turn it into something better to help more people. And I know if I do that, I don't know how it's going to benefit me, but I know it will. I just don't know how yet.
Okay. Yes.
And even in that process, you do get limiting beliefs. I remember when, I think our first month we did like 70 grand, and then the second month we did like 150, and we started hitting these numbers, right? And I remember being like, I know we've deserved it, but we had a lot more to do. And right now, like Impact Team is on track next year to do 8 figures, its first full calendar year in business. And there's a shit ton of stress that comes with that. But there's also a lot of gratitude and pride and good feeling that comes with those numbers. And that's the side people need to remember, is like what it does for them.
Yes, because if we see us as, if we can see us as leads, we can reframe our personal beliefs in order to make them propose us, stop us, and
That's why I
everything.
think sales is cool, man. Because the better I've got as a human being, right? I'm sure for you it's the same. The better you've improved,
Yes.
or limiting beliefs you've overcome. So when somebody else gives it to you, you're like, oh no, that's bullshit. And you call yourself on it when you have those beliefs. Yeah, I just sometimes I'll have them myself where I'll look at it like, no, that's bullshit, dude. Don't even say that. And I'll be like, I'm right.
Show you something. We have this call schedule. Here, this is my office. No, my home. I slept here. I slept here.
Yeah, dude, that's so fucking cool.
Yesterday. In order to be.
No, you see, that to me is like that's character. That's why, dude.
Man.
I've spent time around rich people. I've spent people in private equity and fucking VCs, and I've met some really good people and some really interesting. The ones that are really the coolest are the ones that money hasn't changed them because they're the same way. So like even for me today, my bills and expenses stayed the same for the past 5 years. It's been $4,000 a month, $3 to $4,000 a month on average. I don't spend money. You know, I'll buy myself a watch every so and then, like once a year or twice a year, right? That's my like pleasure spending. But like that obsession of sleeping on the floor, that obsession of not like, I got asked a question yesterday at dinner. I met up with a few of our clients, and one of them was like, how do you operate on 6 hours of sleep? Like, how do you do that? And he was like, do you think you need to sleep that much to like, or sleep 8, sleep that much to be successful? I was like, no, that's like anybody who tells you like, oh, you don't, if you sleep 5 hours a day, I don't believe that, right? That's how I live my life. That's how I like to. But he asked me, he's like, how do you do that? Like, why do you do that? And I'm like, I don't do it because I have to. I'm just drawn to it. That's passion. Like that's the whole concept of, not liking a 9 to 5 or not liking something. It's like when you genuinely get good at something like sales, you're pulled to do it, not to do it. And I told him, I was like, I don't feel it. Like, I love waking up in the morning. I love getting this shit done. I've got good days and bad days, more stressful, less stressful days, less sleep and more sleep. But I was like, nobody pushes me. Besides, the only external force I have is coffee and my alarm. But outside of that, it's just me. And I was like, because I actually love this. And I think most people, this is the key. People treat sales like a hobby, not a passion. And if most people made sales into a passion, not a hobby, you'll fundamentally sell a lot more. But most people pay sales. It's like, this is a hobby. And you'll get paid like it's a hobby. But if you're passionate, you model somebody that's really fucking good, and you learn this shit, and you become passionate, you want to work. You don't have to work. You get to work.
Yes, man. And I don't know if this is your case, but I always tell the clients that they told me, they asked me, what's the best book you read about sales in order to have more information and everything? And I tell them self-development books, psycho-cybernetics, Outwitting the Devil, the 50th Law, about of Robert Greene and 50 Cent. And that's why you have our way of selling, like the psycho selling, is you have an objective, you have a goal, and you have a paradigm.
Yeah.
If they don't align, you have to change your paradigm in order to achieve that goal.
I love that. I love that.
Or the goal will change in order to adapt to your paradigm.
I think here's so interesting. When most people realize the work it takes to get to where they want to go, they change their goal too quick. What I've learned is like when people realize the actual work it takes to hit a certain goal, they change the goal too quick before they even start the journey. Because when I'm looking at the flyer to jump off an airplane, it looks good. When I'm on the airplane going up, it looks even cooler. Then when I'm on it about to jump, that's when shit hits reality of like, okay, this is what it's going to take. I think most people like the idea of making money, like the idea of being in sales. Most people, when they see the journey it takes to really good at this, and this isn't meant to scare anybody, but it's meant to be very clear that like, if you're going to get good at this, if you're going to be the best, man, it's going to take a lot more from you than you think. This is I tell this to people, and this is where I think sales is lost. I fucking hate this. It grosses me out. like sales to me, it's like an art, it's a baby, it's like your career. It's such a, it's a painting. It's its own thing. It's so good. It's gorgeous. And I think it's been through marketing, like fucking taken down as if it's just this fucking skill that you learn in a week that you pay 9 grand. Like you got to learn it, dude. You got to love it. You got to, and I think you should find a mentor that is passionate about it. The amount of sales trainers I know in the space that not only fucking suck, but more importantly, like they don't love it. If I didn't have my own company today, I would go back to selling full time and I would fucking love every minute of it. That's the difference.
That's the thing. The sales coach in the space, they are sales coach because they don't want to sell.
1,000,000%. And the funny thing is 80% of them I know, or I won't say their names, but 80% of them I know, they didn't become a sales coach because they're passionate. They became a sales coach because they sucked at selling. And I think like, if you're not good at sales, you're not good at selling, you're not passionate, you have no right to teach it. If you're bad, but you're passionate about what you do, I still would say you have some right to teach people. If you fucking suck and you got out of sales because you knew you couldn't hit your commission or your targets via just sales commissions, you're not really a fucking sales guy.
No, man. Yes, it's that. And the market will eventually notice that because people are constantly copying on another. Here in Latin America happens a lot. They are like little Andreses and little Yash.
Yeah.
Copying you, and they don't innovate, and they are the copy of others. And I like to call like they drop ship
Drop shipping of sales training. That's fun.
they drop ship the information because I pay him and he told me that I had.
I know my thing to most people is like become so undeniably good that you fuck you're doing.
Yes.
Like, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Like, if I had to go head to head against any trainer in the space right now, more than happy. I think I did an open challenge to a few trainers where, not in a bad way, we were just having a conversation, but I said, like, let's all put 250 grand on the line. We'll put it in an escrow account, 60 days or 30 days, whatever time frame you guys want, whoever sells the most, collects the most. And none of them took it. And I remember I asked one of them, and I wasn't being arrogant, but I was like, how do you guys call yourself trainers? How do you not have a sense of like competition? They're like, oh, dude, we're past our sales. I'm like, but you charge 10 grand for sales coaching.
Okay.
I think like a good trainer to me is somebody who puts it on the line. A good, trainer is somebody who backs it up. A good trainer is somebody who's actively like likes it. Like if somebody had taken that offer that day, like I would have actually ran that. I would have made it a big social media thing, but I would have totally ran that.
Obviously.
And I think like that's the difference, dude, between somebody who's passionate and somebody who's not. Who actually passionate about the shit. I could disagree with maybe somebody's approach, right? Like I've done one-on-one coaching with Andy Elliott as an example. I don't agree with maybe all of his sales approaches, but I can tell he's passionate about sales and he's very good at it.
Okay. And knowing this, what's your criteria in order to know if a sales coach is full of shit or they are good?
It depends on how they talk about themselves. Like first thing is this: if a sales coach tells me that, oh, dude, like I have a really high close rate, like I've converted at 70%, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Like nobody gives a shit, right? Because if that's the first thing you reference of why you think you're good at sales is your close rate, you just don't have that much experience. The second way I can tell is if somebody has your commissions, right? So this is the thing with sales, like three things is the way you tell it. Number one is if you reference your close rate, that's the first claim to fame you have. You don't know how sales works because there are people with shit close rates that still make a lot of money. The second thing is when a sales trainer or even a person tells me that, oh, dude, like I'm just very good at sales, but they don't talk about making a sales process. Like they don't know the shit outside of just a sales call. Then like you haven't really had to, because to make a certain amount of money, you have to like go out of the box and you got to adapt. And to be, in my opinion, a really good sales guy, you also have to be a decent marketer. You have to know sales, like you need to know basic stuff to like figure shit out and fix things. If you don't know that and your only way of making money is because, oh, I was really good at phone calls, then you really haven't uncovered that other part of your development. That you haven't uncovered that new part. But I think the third thing is in a trainer or a salesperson, you got to have the commissions to back it up, period. Your commission check in sales is your level of skill, and not better or worse. It is that. And so if you have only made 20 or 30 grand in 1 month or 2 months out of the year, but you haven't done more than that, or whatever that number is for you, everybody's got their own number. If you don't have the sales commissions to back it up, then you really aren't good at sales. You aren't how good you think you are. And so I think, like, for most people, it's like your commission checks should do the talking for you.
Yes, and the calls also, no?
Yes.
Because you know this, marketing also filters the type of leads you get, obviously. And if you have sales calls like 15 minutes and or less, they are leads ready to buy. I have calls that people threaten me to kill me and close them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's a Latin
oh.
thing, not a US thing. That's a Latin.
That's it.
But no, I agree, man. Like, that's what makes it fun. Like, most people, if they said something like that, like, oh, I'd kill you, or oh, I'm never going to buy on this call, most people just give up. But when you have that thing of like, you want to figure it out, I think that's really cool.
No, yes, man. No, that's perfect. And in your approach, if in our parallel reality you would be a Latin person that's starting on sales, what would be your best approach in order to grow here?
If I was starting in sales today, first thing I would do is I
Yes.
find somebody, I find a mentor. Number one thing, and anything you do, just find somebody, man. It always leads you down a better path. So number one thing I do is I find a mentor. Second thing I do is I model. Third thing is I execute, and then I adapt. That's all I would do. I work with somebody that's where I want to be, and then I learn everything I fucking can from them.
Okay.
That's what I think what you're doing for the Latin community is, because there's no sales trainer I know in the Latin community that has made it the way you have, and I think that's what makes it cool.
Okay, thanks for that. And yes, man, it all comes down on what we were talking earlier. Like, no one loves the game the way we do.
That's why winning is so much easier, man, because you actually love it. When you don't love it, it's the point.
They ask how can you do that, and we think, how can we not do that?
Yeah,
it's natural.
Exactly.
Natural. So
The love of the game is very different than playing the game. You can play the game and be successful. I think that's fun. Loving the game and playing it is different. That's fun.
Yes, because you're more willing to iterate, to innovate, to do things outside the box, to try new things, to do
You
things.
actually enjoy it though. Like, my thing for most people is, like, if you don't like what you're doing, then just don't do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you genuinely don't like sales, number one, don't coach other people on it, but then just don't do it. Like, there are a lot of ways to make money outside of sales. But if you genuinely like what you do, it is your job to pursue it to its full extent and to do everything you can to be successful.
Yes. That's it. I had a call with a lead yesterday that works with the sales coach we don't want to endorse. So, and I think that resonates me, that I noticed a lot. I don't want to say the sex, but he would say, told me that these persons didn't stress or didn't get accountable their team because they were too emotional, and because they were emotional, they have other way of selling, and they don't have to stress, they don't have to make the things, and because they broke up with their girlfriend, they were emotional, and that's normal to not to sell with breakup. And I say, why, man? What's that? What's
wrong with it?
Why the bar is so low? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean though, because it's like, okay, she broke up, and what's next? I would probably sell more if somebody, like, you know, that concept of like some guys when they get broken up with, they either go to the gym and like have a good workout, or they just like go Netflix and chill. I think it's that concept. Like, whenever anything bad happens to me, whether it's a breakup or anything, if anything, I work harder.
Yes, man. Energy transmutes. We can transmit it.
But I don't think you can teach people that. You can't teach people the
Mm.
concept of working hard. I really don't think work ethic can be taught unless you're in like an army camp. I think work ethic is something you have. It's something you can build, but it can't be taught.
Yes, man. And that's a thing the sales coach that doesn't love the game don't teach also because they didn't need it.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
And it's one of the main things. Thanks. So it was a great conversation, Yash. I think that I always ask because it intrigues me is why continuing in sales in order above everything else? Why sales? Sales, sales is specific and give your life to
To the game,
the
right?
game. Why?
Dude, it's just the surface of it is it's cool. The depth answer is like you get the most fun, you make the most money, you have the least stress and risk. Like anything you want in sales can happen. You have the least stress you'll ever feel, the least amount of work you'll ever have to do. You have no risk. You're not running a business. You get to learn a lot. And all you have to do in a nutshell is talk to people.
Mm.
If you're good enough at talking to people, you make more money.
Yes, I will say that the beauty of sales is it's the only game you will always be against the thing you have to overcome in order to grow. Because
Yeah.
I think we talked about the mirror
Yeah.
and your bottleneck is always the thing you have to grow. That objection that you can
Whatever
that,
internally is holding yourself back, any objection, anything you're saying, that if you overcome, that's probably the thing you need to fix for sure.
yes, man. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And what's a question that you would like you would love me to ask you that I didn't?
Dude, these were great. These were solid. These were honestly great questions. I think a good question for you, I think for even your audience is like, do you believe the Latin America market can sell a lot? For the people watching this that are a bit newer to your, obviously the English is maybe not their first, stuff like that. All these reasons. Do you believe it's possible for them to get to the targets they want? And why?
This all comes down to the thing we were talking about earlier. That's the thing with the Latin American market is ego. All comes down to that. Um, this is an example. We are talking a Saturday. Yeah, Saturday we can be doing everything, other thing, and doing another thing, and we can be not paying coaches because we sell more than the medium, the average person. We cannot do it, but we do it anyway. Because why? Because the law of the game. And the thing with the Latin market is it's undervalued because of the mentality of the people that sell here. All the we tend to normalize all the limiting beliefs with money, all the limiting beliefs with character, all the limiting beliefs with skill. I made a live the other day, Thursday, I think, handling objections for 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours, every objection, and killing everyone. And the thing with the people here is they don't tell to invest in themselves because they think they nailed it having 2K months, 5K months.
Yeah.
Months with the offers and don't closing everyone on debit. Also, this is a thing here. They tend to think they are good and every lead pays on debit, not on credit.
Yeah.
and the stress isn't enough, so they didn't beat enough large gap in order to make the pain hard.
Right.
And knowing that the Latin market could be selling a lot, and also on the US they could be selling, but they are too afraid to have results and not sustain them because they don't trust themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Okay, dude, this was good. I like this.
Yes, that's why we are tending to connect them, because they can be having greatness. They can be.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think what you're doing in terms of connecting reps to the right offers in Latin America to get things set up, I think it's a great move. It's very smart.
Innovating.
Innovative. Exactly.